Good afternoon, councillors, managers, directors. Good afternoon. I would like to welcome everybody to the special council meeting on the 29th of September. The attendance register is circulating. While the attendance register is circulating, and the moment the Deputy Mayor has taken a seat, we will open our proceedings with our silent prayer. We start now with the silent prayer. Thank you. Amen. We will continue in terms of the order of business to point 3, which is the application for leave of absence. Please make sure if Councillor Seti has signed on. We were communicating earlier. Was struggling.
Down.
She's not on. Okay. I will try and communicate with her. We have all councillors present except for Councillor Seti, who is probably struggling with the internet. We will then continue to point number 4, the declaration of interest. Is there any disclosure by any councillor? Take it none. We'll then move to point 5, which is the confirmation of minutes for previous meetings. Minutes of the special council meeting dated 31st August. The minute starts on page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Page 15. Page 16, page 17, page 18, page 19, page 20, 21, page 22, 23, 24, and then the attendance register, 25, 26, 27, and 28. Is that a true reflection of the minutes, councillors? Councillor Nel?
Speaker, I propose that we take the minutes as read and correct.
Opposed by Councillor Nel. Councillor Ndai?
Seconded, Speaker.
Seconded by Councillor Ndai. That's for the minutes. We were on point 6. The statements and communications by the Executive Mayor or the Speaker. Executive Mayor, is there any communications?
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, thank you. Obviously, everyone's aware that in the last weekend there were 2 tragedies that we experienced in Plettermouth Bay. A child that was electrocuted in Kranzuk, as well as a shock attack that we experienced at on Sunday. And our condolences as a council go out to the families of the victims. And when we have these sort of tragedies that happen, it often brings a lot of negativity and bad feelings and blame. And that's fine because those are things we need to deal with. And for instance, there needs to be investigations that take place to see why things happened, where it's something that maybe could have been preventable. But what's more concerning is the misinformation and blatant lies that goes out by the press. And in both instances, we've had this. We've had in the case with the child, where photos of a particular box was shown with wire tied around it and a cable tie. and it's hard to believe that that is where the child actually was injured and was electrocuted, which is not the case. And the investigation really needs to be allowed to take its course. I don't want to say more on that, on the box that had actually been tampered with. And then also with regards to the shark attack, where it's a tragedy, we need to prevent things like that from happening as far as possible. But then to go out and put out news reports that say that there were lots of people in the water and people were screaming and shouting to try and get away from the shark, that did not happen. And that article, I believe, was later retracted. But it doesn't do any good to a really bad situation, especially when we're trying to address issues and to find out exactly what it is. And then 2 days, the day after that, on the Monday, there was also a video clip doing the rounds depicting a shark swimming in the waves that was supposed to have been taken on Monday at Central Beach. And people that have seen that clip before have identified it as a clip that was actually from May this year and not even at the same beach. So it's just concerning that you're trying to control the situation and trying to do things in the interest of And since June, there was a committee that had been formed to work on a plan on how to make our beaches safe for the public and safe for holidaymakers. So that plan has been ongoing. There's a committee of about 12 people that are forming plans around this. And part of the plans was to get lifeguards on the beaches earlier than what we would normally do. They would normally only be on the beach from the 1st of October, but we've had lifeguards on the beach from Monday. And they're acting obviously as spotters as well. But there's also further plans for improved signage, warning people and advising people that there are sharks in habitat waters. It is a fact. They're here all year round and with more activity in the winter months. So that signage will be going up within the next 2 weeks just to make more people more aware. And then also there are plans to have shark spotters put on some of the higher buildings, including the Beacon Island. And then that will also roll out to other areas regarding drones, etc. So a lot's been done at the moment to let people know that we're taking all the precautions possible to make sure that our beaches are safe for holidaymakers and that we're doing as much preventative measure as we can in terms of spotting sharks. We have had a spotter program where whenever sharks are spotted, the beaches are closed and the flags are raised, and that will continue, but it will just be expanded on and make it a bit more awareness and enable us to spot any possible sharks, any possible dangers. And what we've done to try not to create but to get the message out there, and because, as some people pointed out, more people are at risk in Bitou from backwash than what they are from us other things, that has to encompass a whole awareness program. So instead of going out and having a shark awareness program, we've actually started an ocean awareness program of various risks involved, which would include sharks, it would include riptides, and the likes, is to make people more aware that the ocean is a living entity and there are dangers within the ocean, even if it is just falling off a boat. It is a risk that people need to be aware of on the ocean. So it's just a message for the people in Bitou, in Plet, and also holidaymakers that are planning to come here, that as much as possible is being done to ensure people's safety when they're in Bitou, whether it be on our roads, whether it be at the beaches, whether it be in the water. these measures are in place and are being put in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. There's nothing from my side. So then, there's no presentations. Point 8. Item for information, which has been dealt with by the Executive Mayor in terms of delegated authority. There's none. Point 9. Voting of outstanding and partially implemented council resolutions. There's none. Councillors, just before we go, I would like to change the order of business. Before we attend to the non-delegated matters, we will first go to the in-committee session, and then we will get back into the open agenda for the order of business to continue with the consideration of non-delegated matters. For those of you in the attendance, you will then be excused, also the public, in terms of the order of business that we will change. So thank you very much. Can we excuse the public, please? Okay.
The role of ward committees in a municipality. Welcome to the Civics Academy Local Government Series. These videos explain how local government functions. In order to be responsible citizens and shape the country we want, we need to know how government functions and how we can engage it. In this video, we define the nature, functions, and responsibilities of ward committees. What is a ward? A ward is an electoral area within a metropolitan or local municipality established by the Municipal Demarcation Board. All municipal wards have clearly defined boundaries and have approximately a similar number of registered voters living within these boundaries. What is a ward committee? A ward committee is a democratically elected body made up of representatives of a particular ward. The ward committee represents a wide variety of community interests and meets regularly under the chairpersonship of the ward councillor. We explain the role of a ward councillor in detail in the video, What is the role of a municipal councillor? How are ward committees established? A municipality has the power to decide to have ward committees, and if it does so, it has to establish ward committees for all the wards within its boundaries. The municipality also decides the process through which ward committee members are elected following the official guidelines. Ward committees may have up to 10 members that must include women and may also include representatives from special interest groups who are active, for example, in areas such as business and commerce, education, social and welfare, youth, sport and recreation, women's rights. Ward committee members may also be elected on a geographical basis, for example, one from each of the eastern, southern, western and northern areas of the ward. The municipality has the power to dissolve the ward committee if it fails to fulfill its duties. What are the responsibilities of ward committees? Ward committees serve as a link between the municipality and the community. They have a number of responsibilities. Firstly, ward committees must make representations and recommendations on any municipal service matter affecting that ward. For example, the need for streetlights to promote safety and combat crime, or an improved refuse removal service. Secondly, the ward committee communicates between the municipality and the people in the ward through the ward councillor. The ward committee can, for example, request feedback on matters relevant to the ward from the municipal council, such as capital projects, possible tariff increases, or job creation projects within the ward. Thirdly, the ward committee can hold the ward councillor accountable on his election promises, his attendance of meetings, and progress made. Fourthly, the ward committee members should engage with its community through regular meetings, attend to grievances and complaints, and door-to-door interactions. How do ward committees function? Ward committees should meet at least 4 times a year because ward councillors must report back to their wards on a quarterly basis. Other occasions when committees should meet are when the Integrated Development Plan, or in short, IDP, is being drafted or reviewed. The IDP is the municipality's principal strategic plan that spells out what it aims to achieve and how. When the performance management system is compiled or reviewed. The performance management system is used to measure performance and targets in terms of the municipality's strategies. When the annual budget of the council is drafted, the budget projects income and expected expenditures of the municipality. When the annual report on all of the municipality's activities, including its audited financial statements and audit report, is considered. When the ward committee considers policies or bylaws that affect the ward or the municipality as a whole. The municipal administration arranges the ward committee meetings, which includes arranging a venue and refreshments for the meeting, sending out of invites and the agenda, managing an attendance register, keeping and distributing minutes, drafting of correspondence relating to the recommendations, providing feedback on the outcome of proposals. Ward committee members may not receive payment for the duties they perform. They only get reimbursed by the municipality for their out-of-pocket expenses. For example, transport and telephone costs, or costs of meals when long-distance traveling is involved. Summary. In this video, we explained the nature, functions, and responsibilities of ward committees. The main purpose of ward committees is to ensure that there is effective communication between the municipal council and the community. The ward councillor is the chairperson of the ward committee, whose members are democratically elected and represent a wide variety of community interests. The ward committee should meet at least 4 times a year, and when important municipal matters such as the IDP or the annual report and budget of the municipality are being drafted. Ultimately, ward committees are designed to bring the democratic process within the reach of the people.
This question and answer session is made to answer the most asked questions about the water services, with the hopes that it will help the public with all necessary information. Please give a brief description about water services section.
Bitou Municipality Water Services consists of the abstraction and treatment or purification of water, as well as the collection, management and treatment of wastewater or sewage. This is done via 6 treatment plants that we have and some 617 kilometers of pipeline, including our bulk distribution lines. We do operate 2 of our boreholes, but we have a sizable number of boreholes as well. We have a staff complement of about 80 people, including our casual or expanded public works program staff. And we are divided into a purification and a reticulation team. The purification team work on a 4-hour shift system, and they run our 6 treatment plants, of which 4 are water treatment plants, and we have 2 wastewater sewage treatment plants. Our reticulation team are charged with the management of our sewage blockages in our sewage system, as well as our water reticulation system. That's it.
What is the process in dealing with water leaks, low water pressure, and who deals with such?
The process and our service delivery standard is that you've got to fix that sort of a problem within a 6 to 8 hour period.
What are things that the water services deal with in communities?
So typically the water services team deals with a variety of inquiries from the communities. On the purification side, there may be questions around water color or
Quality of water mainly.
and the smell of chlorine in water, that sort of thing. And the reticulation team would deal with sewage blockages or water pipe breaks or leaks or low pressures.
How long does it take to resolve or respond to a sewage-related issue, and who deals with such issues?
Sewage issues are dealt with by the sewage reticulation team, and that's a subset of our reticulation team. The timeline to complete a sewage issue is typically 1 to 2 hours, depending on the workload. But it really is or the manhole might have an ingress of foreign objects, and we're finding that there's quite a lot of that happening at this point, where foreign objects are actually being thrown into our manholes, and that tends to cause a build-up of the sewage. It doesn't flow.
Duties as well. So I ended up being in the Air Force for 5 years. After that, thank you. My name is Dave Swart. I'm currently the Executive Mayor in Bitou Municipality, and I grew up in Cape Town. I lived in an area called Bitou on the slopes of Devil's Peak Mountain. Lived there all my life and went to school initially at a convent school, believe it or not, St. Mary's Convent in Cape Town. A lot of people will probably know of the convent. It's near the Houses of Parliament, and they accepted boys. It's technically a girls' school, but they accepted boys until Standard 1. Then it was still called standards, not grades. And then from there went to Sea Point Junior School in Sea Point up until Standard 5, and then moved down to the high school from Standard 6 to Matric. So I spent my whole life really educational forming years in the Sea Point area at school, but living in the Bitou area, which involved commuting by bus, 2 buses a day there and back to get to school and to get back to school, and often by bicycle. And then once I'd finished that, I moved up to Pretoria to do national service. Okay, so I was fortunate when I applied for national service. It was compulsory then, but you had to complete forms and applications, and requested the Air Force, and I was lucky enough to get the Air Force. And after a year, decided to join permanent force, and was fortunate enough to serve on our telecommunications section and do aircrew duties as well. So I ended up being in the Air Force for 5 years. After that, I went into commerce, into sales in the fast-moving consumer goods, FMCG side of business, and joined a company called Cadbury's International, which many people know because of the best loved chocolate in the country, so I give them a plug for their ad. And spent, it was about 4 or 5 years at Cadbury's, ending up there in a manager's position. And then from there joined a sales agency, also in a management position. I then moved into something completely new in terms of the flavor industry. And many times people have said to me, but is there a big market for that? And people don't realize that most of the products you use today have got some sort of flavorant or food additive in that. And I was at that particular company for a number of years until probably around 1999, when they were bought over by another international company. They were an international company. I then stayed under them for 2 years before starting my own business as a distributor in the flavor industry, and spent 3-4 years doing that, and then had to merge with another distributor because the company was bought out by another international flavor house. So I eventually ended up working as a distributor for the top flavor house in the world. And then after 2 years in partnership with this, I decided I was tired of the rat race in Johannesburg, and myself and my wife, who was then my fiancée, decided to move down to Plet to quieten down and to slow down, and bought a backpacker. And since then, we were running the backpacker, got involved with the Plet Accommodation Association as chairperson, and then eventually ended up setting up an ice business. So all the time since being down here in Plet, have been involved in the community in terms of accommodation, tourism, and what was supposed to have been quite a lifestyle has become a lot busier since I got involved with the municipality as well. So it's been a sort of unplanned for journey to be where I am, but here we are now. What makes me tick like a wristwatch. You know, there's so many things. On the one side, work related, you're wanting to try and meet people's expectations, ensure that you're doing what they expect, and that things just basically run smoothly. Everyone wants to just get on with their lives and do what they want to do. So it's really to try and keep things running smoothly. On the personal side, a bit of relaxation when you get a chance, but you don't always get that. So try as much as possible to do what's necessary, and then also to get a bit of relaxation in on the side, just to slow down a bit and to not be working all the time, which is often difficult. Sometimes circumstances dictate what you need to do. I'd never ever pictured myself being in politics. I'd never had any ambition to be in politics. It happened that after the 2016 elections, in early 2017, the then Ward 2 councillor resigned, and I was then approached by the Democratic Alliance, the DA, to make myself available as a candidate for them in the by-elections. So after some consideration and discussion with my wife, we decided that because I was involved in the community already in terms of tourism and our businesses, because she used to have a pizza takeaway shop, so we got to know a lot of the public through that. And it would probably be a next step to helping the community. So the next step was not quite a next step. It's probably something to Neil Armstrong when he landed on the moon and he said, one giant leap for mankind. It was not quite a step to the next level, but really a massive learning curve to know how the municipality ticks, expectations of communities, and trying to resolve various issues that crop up from time to time. So it wasn't planned. The mayorship wasn't planned either. It was just something that sort of happened. It wasn't something I initially aspired to. But I've always tried to make the best of whatever comes around, and sometimes you dealt a hand of cards and you need to work with that. And it just happens that the hand of cards and the deck that I was dealt ends me up being in this position as executive mayor. Ultimately, to try and satisfy the community and to have growth, there's always ideal for everyone to at least have an income to be able to live their lives in a relaxed state, not with turmoil, and that's where there's so much challenges in Plet and in the Bitou area. You've got the wealthy and you've got people that have got nothing, and you've got to try and bridge that divide and try and get the basic services that people want in the various communities. And also in your wealthier areas, the needs are so much different. But the challenge is really to try and get a middle ground where everyone's happy. And for the communities, we need to make sure that we've got an environment in Plet where we're attracting people to come visit, because we are after a tourist town. And through that, we need to, as a municipality, to create an environment where people want to come here. And with that, it stimulates growth, stimulates jobs, stimulates new business, and people want to come invest here, so that ultimately we can make sure that we create the jobs that people are needed to feed themselves and to look after for their families. The dream for the town is to be busy, for the people in Plet to be comfortable in the sense that their basic needs are met. They've got a meal at the end of the day, they've got electricity, they've got water, and they can just live their lives. I believe that people don't really want to work, but we have to work because we need to earn an income so that we can live and do what we want to do. So you need to try and provide a situation where people can earn that income live their lives the way they want to live it, and not to have to wonder where the next meal is coming from, or that they can't switch the light on to make a cup of coffee or something along that line. So it's really a utopia you're trying to get to, which you'll probably never get to, but you could try and get as far down that line as what you can. And to create cooperation between the various sectors. We've got people that are more fortunate than others, and to get those people to try and help those less fortunate, but also for those that are less fortunate to be prepared to accept that. Because sometimes people are proud as well. They don't want to accept handouts. It eventually happens because of a need. So people have their pride. We've got to ensure that people keep their dignity, and that's a big part of it. You know, people get downtrodden at times, and they lose their dignity. We need to make sure that people are happy being where they are happy doing what they're doing, and while you may not like the job you've got, at least do it to the best of your ability, because that's what allows you to do what you want to do at the end of the day. But no one works because they want to, they work because they have to. Now, a lot of it goes back to formative years and what you learn in school, not necessarily in terms of in the textbooks, but in how you react with other people and ideas that you get from other people. Now, I've been out of school for a long time, so I don't know what goes on exactly in the schools, and my daughter is long out of school as well. But I get a sense that the schools today aren't the same as when I grew up in terms of a lot of activities at school. We used to have stamp clubs, photographic societies, chess clubs, all those sort of activities that the children could participate in, because not everyone is sports oriented. So you had your sports and you had people playing rugby, soccer, cricket, hockey, whatever, but you get people that aren't inclined to be active in sport. And there doesn't seem to be that sort of activity in schools. So that also helps people to learn and understand. If you're playing chess, you're thinking, you're using your mind, you're strategizing. It's the same with other things, photographic society, taking photos, you're looking at different aspects. So even though it's an activity that's regarded as a play activity as such, you're learning from that. And I get a sense we don't have much of that happening. And through that sort of interaction, the children can also get an idea of what they want to do, where they want to go. So coupled with what they learn there and their education, they can then, by the time they finish school, form an idea of where they need to be. Also, to maybe have something where people can be shadow businesses. Like, you know, in a lot of the bigger towns, you get a junior mayor or council that the children attend, and they play at being mayors and councillors and things like that. But it also teaches them in business. In some towns, you have business schools where kids learn how to do various business things. When I worked for the One Flavour company in Isando, we used to help students at night in how to run their own businesses, small businesses, making cushions, things like that. And those are the things we need to also introduce to the schools, that by the time they get to a point where they're making a career choice, they have an idea where they want to go. So you've got your school knowledge, there's a lot of outside knowledge that eventually forms people, so that once they finish school, they have an idea of what they want to do. And at school, we're always learning what's in the books, which is important. We need to know certain things there. But we need to learn more business skills, because years ago, when you left school, you got a job with a company and you're with the company for 10, 20 years. It doesn't happen like that anymore. People don't stay with companies that long, either because they don't like what's at the company, or they leave for their own interests. And there's more people these days that are starting their own businesses. And that's the sort of thing we need to teach children as well, is how to think and how to establish a business. And many businesses have been small, and it's grown into something big. If you look like, I think it was Herman Mashaba who started a company called Black Like Me, and they made black cosmetics, hair straighteners, things like that. And that was also something that started as small, and look at where he's now. He's now even got into politics. So those are the sort of things that we need to teach, if you want, the kids today, so that they can start thinking for themselves and come up with ideas to start their own businesses, because that's the only way we're going to create jobs. Someone's starting a business, he employs 2 or 3 people, then you've got some people employed. And if he grows his business, he can be employing 100, 200, 300 people. And that's probably the way to go now with today's children. We can't rely on people finding jobs at businesses. We've got to create our own opportunities. Probably more just the phrase is don't lose hope. Always have hope and the belief that you can change your situation. I've always remembered that something that I heard long ago, and I can't even think where. No matter where you are in life, there's always going to be someone that's worse off than you, and there's always going to be someone that's better off than you. You need to accept that, and you need to focus on what you need to do. So don't lose hope in what you're doing. Keep your goals in mind. Set goals. Keep them in mind, and you'll eventually get to what you want to get to. You need to work to a plan, but don't lose hope.
Can you do social media on your Huawei phone?
Just go to the app gallery and download them all.
Hi, good morning. I am Clothar Blanche. I'm a ward councillor in Ward 4 and also the speaker of Bitou Municipality. I grew up in Bitou. It's a close-by farm close to the municipality, which was owned by the Derbyshires. Currently now, the place is called Denron. So that's where I grew up. On the educational side, I started my primary school in Formosa Primary, a local school in New Horizon, mostly where I'm very much involved. I loved sport very much at the school. Played soccer, played cricket as with very other young child. You play all the sports that's there. So in primary school, I did athletics, played soccer, played cricket. The part that I didn't like the most is to play rugby. I never liked rugby at primary school, and even till today, I don't like rugby. So for me, I did everything that sports on the primary school as well. After finishing grade 12 at Platt Secondary, at the time it was really tough. I had to make a decision, of which I then had to go straight to work. Seeing that it was grown by a single mother, I then had to go work to also bring some source of income. And since then, since 2002, I worked at a local takeaway shop here in town, which was called at the time Formosa Cafe, where I started. I worked till there till 2003, of which I started also retail work in 2003. Then since 2003 up until 2021, I did retail work all my life. In between, I did short courses such as computer, sporting and coaching, so of which I love sports and love coaching. So I did a few short courses in between. Generally, it's just when I exit my house, when I look around, it's just that the community, the motivation, it's just that, just my general sense to see other people also learn and grow and making the best out of what is in front of us. So each day I wake up, I pray, thank the Lord, and then I just go and try and make a difference. So that's what takes me, just to be there and make a difference to each and the ones close to me in the community as well. Local government is a sphere closest to the people. So local government plays a very important role in constructing and developing of our country. With me being a councillor in local government, I can help democratizing in society and growing our economy, something that can be seen through a good local government system. As a councillor, I should consult with the IDP and utilize it as the guide. So my 5-year plan is to integrate my vision for Bitou and the IDP, which is the voice of the people. So I would like to integrate both together, the vision for Bitou and the IDP. My 5-year plan is centered around local economic development and job creation, public safety, youth development, and sports development. Firstly, I would like to use myself. Being raised by a single mother, not having the luxury at the time that others had, I had to make decisions in life, whether being influenced negatively, but I chose to be influenced positively. I chose the right friend system every day. I motivated myself to be in school. So my message to the youth is to always be focused, not use the circumstances around you as an excuse. Always rise. We do have resources. We have different methods of growing ourselves. It's just a matter of finding the resources, work with it, and make sure you implement it as best into your situation. Because the help is out there. Using the circumstances is not something that can be off-proof or that you can't grow in life. So for me, having to be raised by a single mother, I had to grow myself in such a way that I can be of support to her. Not having a father is really difficult, it's tough, especially when it's not absent, but it's not there when your father passed away. That's the most difficult part. So for me, I had to make decisions every day in life to carry up until my mother today, of which my mother is still alive today, and that's my motivation, to give her the better life. So the youth today, they just need to rise above all the circumstances, make sure that they use the resources that our country has, that our communities have, and change it around to the best of their ability, and to be the best is what they always need to be focused on. Firstly, I would like to thank the Heavenly Father for guiding me, for protecting me up until today. Since 1985, my life was just blessed. So I would like to thank each and everybody of Plettenberg Bay, my family, my friends, the people around that knows me, for believing in me and wanting to see me through in life, growing in life. So my message to Plettenberg Bay is that we should never ever doubt ourselves. Use me as an example. So my dream for Plettenberg Bay is for the fast gap between rich and poor to be addressed through local economic development, and to see the fulfillment of the Coming Together project. So thank you very much, Plettenberg Bay. Wishing you all the best for this coming year, for this year, 2022, and may we grow from strength to strength. Thank you.
This question and answer session is made to answer the most asked questions about the water services, with the hopes that it will help the public with all necessary information. Take us through the process of purifying water and what is the cause of brown water.
Okay, the purification process of water is as follows. We're getting water from the river, like I'm going to make an example of Plettenberg Bay water treatment plant. The type of chemicals that we use at the inlet works are aluminium sulfate and lime. And then from there the water are being mixed, then it goes through the mixing channels, and then from there to the settling dams, where all the dirt and mud and stuff are settling down into the settling dams. From there it goes to the filters. At the filters we remove all the impurities, stuff that floats in the water. It settles on the sand, and then the clean water goes down through the filters. From there it goes to the another mixing channels, where we dose chlorine to disinfect the water, and we also stabilize the water. Stabilizing meaning that the water mustn't be corrosive when it gets to the communities. At that the other point after that is where we pump the water to the service reservoirs that are located in each area, as I mentioned, in Plettenberg Bay, and from there the water goes to the community's houses. We must just then remember that from all houses There's sewage lines that goes down to our main wastewater treatment plant that is located next to the N2 at Old Nick. It's called Gansenvallei Wastewater Treatment Plant, and that is a 9 megaliters a day wastewater treatment plant where we purify the water so that it can adhere to the Science 241 standards is set out by Department of Water Affairs. The main reason for the color in the raw water in our area is we've got a lot of fynbos growing in this area, and you see different parts of South Africa, there's different vegetation that grows next to the rivers. So here there's a lot of humic acids in the leaves as it falls into the water, and that causes the color. It's like a tea bag effect that it gives off into the water. So our main issue here is just to get the color out of the water. Luckily for us, there's no industries along the river that can pollute the river.
Question: would you build a website for a major brand with more than 200 million users using Wix? Well, we did. Hi, I'm Sivana. I'm an R&D manager here at Wix. Today, I want to show you how we use our own platform, creating some pretty complex functionalities that may surprise you. First, all of our web pages are built on Wix. They get a huge amount of traffic. Users that sign up to Wix come with all kinds of needs and goals. So to match them with the best solutions, we built an onboarding flow on the Wix editor using custom code. We also embedded a web component using the custom element feature. These can be developed in any client-side technology like React, Angular, Vue.js, your call. So what now? Push to production? Well, not just yet. That's where the Release Manager comes in handy. It's a built-in tool that allows you to gradually roll out new versions and test them safely. What about SEO? Go ahead. Google Website Builder, create a
My name is Kolani Tokota. I'm working here at Kurlan Library as a library assistant. Today we are going to the creches around the community, formal and informal. It's a library initiative to informing all the creches around the community about the upcoming wave. So they're trying to stop it from happening. So we're going all around the community to all the informal and informal creches to show them how to sanitize, how to take care of their kids around the crèche, and to also distribute the sanitizers to them so that they can use and show them how to use the sanitizers properly, and tell them that the sanitizer must be 70% alcohol and so far. Thank you. This is a bottle of sanitizer. It's 2 liters of sanitizer. We're going to give to this informal crèche here inside. So we're gonna go inside now and give it to the crèche owner here inside. So we are giving you, everybody got sanitizers, so I'm giving you this sanitizer. When they are finished, you can always go to us, we always give you the sanitizer. So I will show you how to use the sanitizer properly. It is not spraying, so surely you have to open it and pour it in your hand. Just pour enough amount of sanitizer and rub it close to 30 seconds. Okay. You rub all over in between your fingers like this, your nails, like everywhere in your hand. You mustn't miss a spot. And I see here you've got nice chairs and tables. You can also use some of the sanitizers to sanitize the place. The chairs, the tables, and the things that children that play with. The door handles, everywhere they touch, everywhere they play, use the sanitizers. That is how we can fight this thing together, Mama. I thank you very much, Mama.
Sanitizers wat julle vir ons gegee het, ons sê dit baie nodig.
Eli lithala lencwadi lakanokuthula. Kweli thala lencwadi sifundisa isiXhosa. Ibali endiza kulifunda namhlanje lithi yalahlekelwa njani uboya bayo imvubu. Kudala kwamhlamnene umvubu nomlilo yayingabahlobo ababini abakhulu. Umlilo wayethanda uyokundwendwela umvubu. Ngenye imini umvubu wathi kumlilo, Mlilo, oyena mntu usoloko endwendwela kwakho ndini. Wena uyakuze uze nini na kwam uzokundindwendwela? Wathi umlilo, andithandi ukundwendwela abantu. Kuba kaloku xa ndindwendwela abantu ndibashiya bekhaya. Wathi umvubo, mna ndiyafuna into yokokuba nam ngenye imini ukhe uzokundindwendwela. Wathi umlilo, kulungile, ndizawuza ukundwendwela ngemvubu. Wabeka usuku umlilo aza kuya ngalo kwamvubu. Wabeka icawe. Nyani yathi yakufika icawe, umlilo wasuka kwindawo ehlala kuyo, wandwendwela kwamvubu. Wathi umlilo xa ephakama esiya kwamvubu, wadlula elalini. Uthe xa edlula elalini, washiya abantu bekhaya. Wathi apha hamba khona, kwabonakala okokuba yonke indawo agqitha kuyo kusheka umlilo. Kwatsha ilali, kwatsha izindlu zabantu, kwatsha izilwanyana. Umlilo xa ebheka phambili, akabheki, ujonga phambili. Wathi ngexesha umlilo ajonge phambili, inye into wayeyiva yayisisikhalo zabantu ngemva. Kodwa umlilo wayengabheki into yokokuba ngobani na aba bakhalayo. Wahamba ke umlilo wayekungena kwikhaya lakamvubu. Yaphela indlu kavubu. Wathi umvubu akubheka, wafika umvubu uyatsha, uboya bakhe buyaphela. Wabaleka umvubu, wamshiya umlilo kuloo ndawo, wayekutshona emlanjeni ukwenzela into yokokuba azokwazi ukucimeka umlilo lo. Nanamhlanje ke umvubu akanabo uboya ngenxa yento yokokuba wakundwendwelwa ngumlilo waphelelwa buboya. Wafunda isifundo ke umlilo okokuba ungaze udlale ngomlilo. Phela ngaba.
Today's story is Fergal is Fuming by Robert Starling. This is Fergal. What a nice chap. He's a friendly little fellow. But when someone tells him what to do, Fergal gets very, very angry. Like when his dad said, Fergal, come down for your tea. But Fergal wanted to carry on playing. And then he said Fergal had to eat all his greens or he won't get any pudding. Fergal felt fiery. It's not fair. I don't want to eat my greens. And there he burnt his food. So Fergal didn't get any pudding and he didn't get any tea either. Fergal got in a pickle on the football pitch. You're in goal. It's not fair, said Fergal. I don't want to go in. Go, woof, go. So he burned the goalpost. His fiery temper got Fergal into trouble all over town. You have to wait for them to cool, Fergal. Woof! And he burnt the cakes. You have to miss a turn, Fergal. Shoof! And he burnt the game. Wherever he went, Fergal just couldn't keep his cool. They burned a skateboard and guitar, even an ice cream cone. Finally, his friends has had enough. Everyone's ignoring me, Mum, said Fergal. It's not fair. Well, Fergal, dinner's in the bin, Bear's buns are burnt, and no one can play football, and that's not fair. We all get fiery, sighed Mum, but we find a way to cool down. My trick is to count to 10. The next day, Fergal felt fiery again. That's not... But then he remembered his mum's trick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he didn't feel so fiery. It had worked. Fergal noticed lots of animals had their own way to cool down. When Crow felt fiery, he told his friends about it. When Fox felt fiery, he watched the sunset. Wolf always found a nice quiet spot and made a big noise. Woo! Cat lay back and stretched. And then there was Hare. Whizzing about stopped her feeling fiery in the first place. Now Fergal had lots of ways to cool down. And when he didn't waste his fire on being angry,
let's continue. We are in the open agenda of the order of business. We will continue with point 10, the consideration of reports, non-delegated matters. First item deals with the office of the municipal manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I just request, sorry to interrupt, I apologize, but can we not allow the public back if we're starting with the open?
I think they are.
No, that is in the agenda. That agenda is not only for us, it's for the public. It has been put in the agenda. Again, you will be not doing justice because it is wrong to switch off mics for the public.
They are recording. They are. I'll come back. We will wait. The first one.
I think I just got confirmation there's no mic. It's 32. Those people are on. No mic switch off, so I don't.
So they are participating.
Yeah, there was a member of the public that was sitting here. Alan, is he still outside?
Mr. Flock, no. Okay, thank you for that. The first item under section 1, the office of the municipal manager. It is item C, stroke 1, stroke 87, stroke 09, stroke 22. The declaration of vacancy, approval of selection and recruitment process for the filing of position of Director Corporate Service. The item is now serving. I do take note of the hands. Councillor Mhlana, Councillor Kamkam, Councillor Ndai.
Yeah, Speaker, there was an in-committee meeting on this matter, which I was unfairly suppressed, although I was noted by yourself as a speaker. You know, sometimes, Speaker, when we make a mistake, we must acknowledge the fact that we have made a mistake. And there is nothing wrong when you say we have made a mistake, and that mistake must be corrected. And now my concern, which I have, is the fact that the executive mayor went on and negotiated on our behalf as a council. Was he never negotiated on behalf of the majority, but negotiated on our behalf as a council. And although that we're supposed to have a privy information on the issue to know what is it that was negotiated between the two parties, which is us, the council, the municipality, and that other person which was filling that particular vacancy. Now, in terms of delegation, Speaker, this the section 56, the delegations are delegated to the entire council, as what Mrs. Kolwabi was raising here in this council. And it is unfair, Speaker. It is unfair. And this issue, we have been saying over and over again, that this council has financial problems. But if we are unfairly and ignored by the executive, we have been saying, Speaker, we are not part of the executive. We're a legislative arm. We're supposed to hold the executive accountable. And when we see things that are wrong, because there is quite a difference between termination and resignation. And when we see things that are wrong and we're trying to raise those issues with the executive, we are bullied and voted over. And issues get to be rubber stamped. And that, Speaker, is wrong. It's a wrong reflection to this council, to all of us as councillors and the council, and yourself as a speaker of this council. So I just wanted to raise that issue, Speaker. Let's acknowledge when we have made a mistake and say we have made a mistake here. There's nothing wrong with that. But leaders, we must take a responsibility, because tomorrow we're going to be slapped with a hefty amount, and yet that amount will have to come to here. So we have a right as councillors to know anything that has to do with this municipality.
Thanks, Councillor Mhlana. I think that was not in relation to the item, but thank you for what you have raised. In terms of the hands raised on this item, it was Councillor Kamkam and Councillor Ndai.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I would like to propose that we go with the recommendations of the Municipal Manager.
On the first item, there's a proposal by Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. I will second it. Thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Ndai. Move on to the next item on page 35, item C, stroke 1, stroke 88, stroke 09, stroke 22. The appointment of Acting Director Corporate Service for the period of October till December. The item is serving. You will find it on page 35. Before we continue, can we just have the two people excused, Mr. Alderman and Mr. Crouch? The item is serving when they... Councillor Nell?
Speaker, I propose that we appoint Mr. Crouch as the acting Director of Corporate Services.
Proposed by Councillor Nell. Deputy Mayor?
Second, Speaker.
Seconded by the Deputy Executive Mayor. Next item.
Call them back.
It is the Draft operational plan for the management of Central Beach Public Lawn Site. That is item C, stroke 1, stroke 89, stroke 09, stroke 22. The draft operational plan for the management of Central Beach Public Beach Lawn Site. You find the item on page 36 to 49. Item is now serving.
Can we move to the recommendation, please? Speaker, I propose that we go with the recommendation of the municipal manager.
Councillor Nel, Councillor Olivier.
A second.
Seconded by Councillor Olivier. Next item, the mediation of disputes on performance management outcomes of the municipal manager and managers directly accountable to the municipal manager. That item is item C, stroke 1, stroke 90, stroke 09, stroke 22. The item is now serving.
Speaker.
Just hold on. The item is now serving.
Speaker.
Councillor Nel.
Speaker, can I just ask the municipal manager for clarity? I'm not sure, I have not studied the legislation. Is it correct that we appoint a councillor to mediate in disputes between management?
Continue, Emil.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I will not claim to be a legal expert, but however, I prepare when I come to council. I prepare when I write items. It is correct, Councillor Nel. When there's a dispute between a senior manager, not the municipal manager, senior manager, in terms of his performance evaluation, and in this case, we've done performance evaluation of Ludolf, the previous director in Ludolf position, I forgot just his name, Michael Rode, as well as Mr. Jushu and Friedman, Mr. Jushu and municipal manager, of which the later two, opted not to come and participate. So we have then received, including Director Mpahla, we have then received a dispute which must then be looked at. The legislation is very clear. A councillor who was not part of the process of evaluation. So it was my proposal to council, but council can decide if it must not be Councillor Bota. It's a councillor. If it's a dispute between the municipal manager in terms of his performance evaluation, it is the MEC for local government. I hope I have clarified, Councillor. And usually when I write an item, I also put it in. If you can go up a little bit, but if I have missed that, that is the situation.
Speaker, thank you very much. I appreciate your reply. And there's no need to be defensive. I'm not angry, Speaker.
I explained thoroughly. No, thanks so much.
Note a sour tone in your comment. There's no need for that, Emil.
Apologies, Councillor.
Thank you. Councillor Mangaba?
I think Councillor Bota was first.
No, it was first Councillor Mangaba, then Councillor Bota.
Speaker, thank you, Speaker. I admire the fact that there's actually an existence of a legislation that supports that. However, my question would be, have we equipped the management council of necessary skills required for a rubric rather that is actually used to actually mediate in such space? Because I wouldn't want us to actually set whoever we actually mention for failure just by actually setting them in such a space to mediate, whereas they are not properly equipped with what's required for them to do their job. I understand that this is actually supported by legislation, but in that same breath, I would rather we empower one another, so that when the next time you become somebody that actually sits and mediates, you know exactly what we seek to achieve when we have a mediator.
Thanks.
Thanks, Speaker. In answering the question without being too long or sounding defensive, councillors that does the performance evaluation equally go into that process in terms of going and be briefed in terms of what is the performance evaluation about what you looked at. So it's equally the same here. It's Councillor Bota, she will get a briefing in terms of how the performance system worked and which financial years we are dealing with, who was the people that the panel that evaluated, what are the scores that were achieved in terms of our system, and what are the scores that the director thinks they must have. Bear in mind, when this thing was presented in council, I did indicate that we are dealing with previous financial years which have already been approved by this council in terms of the annual report. So I just want you to take note of that, which is a critical process in terms of this. So if SAWDA does provide the right training is necessary, we would request, but it will be difficult to answer for whether councillors are equipped, because when you are elected, your first council meeting, you know, it's a question of are you equipped to start with your first council meeting. So it's a difficult one, Councillor Manaba. I get your point in terms of training that should be provided to councillors. I think that's a point that you are trying to drive, but it's difficult to say the councillor. But I interacted in terms of MPEC meetings and also look at the issues of performance. And I've also looked at the recordings of the previous council meeting when we're dealing this item. The person that spoke mostly about this item was Councillor Porter, that is why. But it could be any councillor who was not part of the evaluation.
Speaker, point of order, Speaker.
Let me agree with you now, Councillor Now.
Speaker, that's why I'm asking the point of order.
Okay. Continue, Councillor Now.
I don't want to be obstructive in any way, Speaker, but also not pedantic. But if we apply the rules of order here, then I think Councillor Botha should in fact be excused at this point, because this is about herself.
Should be what?
Now, Chair, to provide guidance to Councillor Botha does not have to be excused, because Councillor Botha is not the subject. The subject of discussion is Michael Rode and all other directors. That's why Ludolf is excused. Councillor Botha is somebody that must actually, but if council asks her, then I would not. But in terms of the subject that is being discussed, she is not a subject matter in terms of the disputing person. So I just wanted to clarify that.
I accept your explanation. I think you're right. Thank you.
I will be with you now, Councillor. Let me first, Councillor Manaba. You.
Thank you, Speaker. I would say from the explanation that is granted, I would be comfortable. And again, to remind the speaker right over here that really she's not the subject matter here. The matter is we all need to be expected to actually sit in spaces where mediation is supposed to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, the Councillor Botha, your hand was also up.
Whilst, thank you for the nomination, though, but I do feel that I must decline. As you've mentioned, I have been quite voluble about my stance, but also, I mean, we have been involved as council in determining already. So we have been playing a part in the evaluation process. So I have played a part in the evaluation process, and therefore I don't believe that I would be able to mediate in terms of that.
Yes, I was Councillor Botha, then declining. Councillors, it leaves us with we must come up with to recommend. Let me just make sure, Councillor Kabai, you raised your hand.
No, I was just going to say they must take everything. That is the coalition of DA.
Now you are out of line. I need to recognize the other hand first. I will. Councillor Dai, was your hand up? Before Councillor Plana?
Yes, Speaker. Thank you, Speaker. As Councillor Botha declared that he doesn't want to take that position. She, sorry, she. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Can we stick?
Mare High School. Sorry.
Okay.
But I don't remember teaching you.
Let's go, councillors. There's a nomination for Councillor Olivier from.
If I don't remember.
Koluapi, then Councillor Mhlana. There's a nomination for Councillor Olivier.
Yeah, I second that.
No, you have not been. It's first Councillor Koluapi.
With what, listening to what Councillor Bota was saying, that because the performance was brought to us as a council here. So I think she brought something important when the cricket clients. But as it was brought here, and at that time we saw it as it was brought, how about we find an independent person to bring justice to this? I don't say we wouldn't have eyes of bringing justice, but just a matter of saying that even the directors that are bringing it up, as if they are not happy, just an independent person who can just look at the things of performance, because it did came to us and we accepted as it was. So I think maybe as I've been listening to it, it might bring another eye because we were part of it. How now you do again come and look at it? Maybe OMM will explain, but I was thinking that how about because of cricket.
Give to MM, then Councillor Mhlana.
No, thanks, Speaker. No, because I must provide guidance. Legislation is very clear. I'm not sure if you can find it quickly.
It is in the item.
It's there.
Yeah.
It's a councillor. So here you can choose between Councillor Bota, Councillor Koluapi, Councillor Manaba, Councillor Kaba, Councillor Plana, Councillor Moli.
Councillor Ndai.
Because they were not part of the evaluation panel.
And indeed,
panel are the people that must not get involved because they are playing a player. But you as council consider the report from the evaluation panel and the report. You did not evaluate the characters. So you cannot get an independent person because it's written verbatim in the, I think it's contained there in the report and the attachment. It says, in case of that a councillor, there it is. In case of a manager, a member was not part of a member of council, but was not part of the evaluation.
Council. Okay. Councillor Koluapi, I think you covered. Okay. We will continue. Thank you for that. That shows that you are covered. We will continue. Councillor Mhlana first.
Yeah, there is a proposal of Councillor Oliver just to redeem herself, man. Disappointment of whip we can give her this. So I support that.
There was a proposal. The chief whip. Okay, the seconder on this for the nomination.
Just to redeem herself.
So it is then that we will
anything.
No, nominate Councillor Olivier. Comment. Councillor Olivier.
Councillor Nell is not the chief whip.
Anyway, I feel that I've been insulted in this council chamber.
And I think it's funny.
And it's not funny.
There's a lot of things we can say.
Are you hearing this?
You won't laugh.
Councillor.
You something about it because we're not here to sit and insult each other. I don't need to redeem myself anything. I'm a councillor
I withdraw.
and a councillor of this chamber.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thanks.
So they must refrain from the insults that they do.
Councillor, can you please? No. Switch on your mic.
No, there's a mic there on.
Does it record?
Just for that.
It does. Thank you. We will then move.
Show my hand, what about it? Need touch, man.
Step down.
Touch when I
need
The next item.
They are relaxed.
You relax.
Item C. Stroke 1, stroke 91, stroke 09, stroke 22. The revision of Bitou organizational macro structure. The item is on 53. The item is now serving. In terms of the hands raised, it is Councillor Kamkam, Councillor Ndai, and then the chief whip of the official opposition party, Councillor Mhlana. Next.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I would like to propose that we go with recommendations by the municipal manager.
Thank you, Speaker. I will second that. Thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Ndai. Councillor, in terms of the hands raised, it is 1, 2. Councillor Mhlana, do you want to continue? Yes. Your hand. Nice, Councillor, your mic. Not recognized. Councillors.
What's wrong with you?
You are not recognized, Councillor Mhlana, then we will move. Then we will move to the next. Councillor Mhlana, do you want to wish to continue?
Yes. You are a fantastic speaker, serious. Because you are doing that something institutional.
At least we are full cabinet here when we make decisions, not half cabinet. Let's go. Councillor Mhlana. You are not recognized. You are not recognized. We are full. You are not recognized. We are full 13 people here. There are 13 people here. Can all 13 people behave? Let us not go into. Councillor Mhlana. Can the 13 councillors? Hands were up.
This, or yet again, we're just rubber stamping this issue of the organogram. The organogram, in my understanding, was supposed to have a view on it. And it has, we're promised, I think 2 months back, that we're going to be workshop on the organogram, or it's a session where we're going to be taken through the organogram because it has financial implications. I don't know whether this is for noting, since we're also in the LLF, we are represented as council. I think there are issues that we want to.
Thank you. We will take it up with the MM. We will continue. The next item, now it's fine. I think we will continue. The last item under the Municipal Manager's Office. It is item C, stroke 1, stroke 94, stroke 09, stroke 22. Submission of the voluntary financial recovery plan for, no. Councillors, we are going to make a decision here to recover. It's a financial recovery plan. This item speaks to recover. I have not opened the item yet. Submission of the voluntary financial recovery plan for approval. The item is now serving.
Stop facing one side of the room. Or else we're going to have a screen that we can.
Item was serving.
The item is serving in terms of the hands raised. While I'm looking also to the official opposition, it is Councillor Olafir, Councillor Ndai, and Councillor Kamkam.
The recommendations.
Let them do it. Fat alles.
There's a proposal by Councillor Olafir.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Ndai. Councillor Kamkam, do you wish to continue? Remove?
Speaker, I would love Councillor Kalbai to withdraw what he's saying now.
No, I think Councillor Kalbai must get disciplined.
I'm telling you, I heard him. He said we are cows, Speaker, and we are voting cows. We are voting cows, Speaker, cows. You can go to the record and Speaker, we are not going to.
Can we just?
You need to be Speaker. It's not going to discipline him now.
Order. I've called order. No more. No. Can you hold? I will listen and refer it. Please, I will listen and then we'll refer it.
Yes.
Thank you. Can we move? We are done with the items of the municipal manager. I understand, councillors, I understand we are dealing with a lot of the past matters, but can we please behave? It is our duty as councillors to deal with the past matters and correct what has been done incorrectly. We will continue in those items.
Ask him also.
We will move to section 6. There's no other items. Economic development and planning. The first item, it is item C, stroke 6, stroke 51, stroke 09, stroke 22, development of the New Horizon taxi rank, which is on page 202 to page 206. The item is now serving. Councillor Mhlana.
Speaker, New Horizon is my neighbor there. So whatever goes to New Horizon, I support it. So I support that. A councillor who didn't win one VT, won all VTs.
Not go there. There's a proposal by Councillor Mhlana. Councillor Mangaba.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm all for development. I'm all for betterment of our spaces, and most importantly, a thriving council economy. There's just no way I would actually stand against this item. However, before I second, I just need to actually have clarity. From the notes that I actually read, it doesn't seem as though there's actually additional funds that are actually going to come from the municipality. So I just want it in record before I can actually go on and second. Is there going to be any financial implications beyond what I am saying on the financial implication, which is 156,640, which was already paid for at master plan level?
Through you, can I ask to read recommendation number 2? I'm going to read it in Xhosa, it's in English there.
You don't have to, because that's an element of belittlement. I understand English fully.
I apologize. I was trying to, let me apologize because I was trying to make it clear. Point number 2 says that it's been noted that Bitou Municipal will not contribute financially towards the development of taxi rank and the development of New Horizon taxi rank will be funded by Dendron as part of their social contribution.
So this municipality will have no financial contribution.
Thank you, Speaker.
Now, Speaker, with that being said, I second the motion, Councillor.
You didn't read the recommendation.
No, we're not dealing with a motion, Councillor.
Not saying that I'm seconding what my
okay. Thank you, Councillor. Proposed by Councillor Mhlana, seconded by Councillor Mangaba. The next item on section 6, it is item C, stroke 6, stroke 52, stroke 09, stroke 22. The Platte Tourism Association, current status and the way forward. Speaker. You would find the item on page 207 to 208. Speaker. The item is now serving. In terms of the hands raised, Councillor Kapai, Councillor Mangaba. I just want to give input,
No, Chair, I wanted to bring something to the attention of the council. At 12 o'clock, we were called by Platte Tourism. I just forgot the name. Platte Tourism Board, which is what Bruce, Paul, sorry, that they are unclear about the current Platte Tourism alternative. That meeting, which was facilitated, we were called myself, which was facilitated by neutral business people who first of Platte, as well as the somebody. And I'm wondering, is the mayor whether this item after that discussion should not serve in October so that we invite both groupings in the council meeting to speak, to make a presentation and also brief themselves, council, in terms of the discussion and how they see as a way forward. The position which we have presented there is that this matter is rather unfortunate, but it would be better if there was one tourism which encompasses everyone in town, and that seems to be. But I don't want to speak on their behalf and say that that's what we've agreed on, but the minutes of that meeting will be circulated. So I would rather, I think Rudolph is out, I would rather propose as a municipal manager that this item stand over for the month of October. The item was brought by the directorate because the current short-term agreement is ending in September. I don't think there will be much damage to wait for that month so that everyone can present, and then we deal with this matter comprehensively. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, MM. Councillor Abai, then Councillor Mangaba.
I'm hearing the MM is, the MM brought the item to the council.
And again, himself, he is retracting the item himself. I've got a problem with that. If then the meeting happens even before this council meeting, why was the item brought here? Why was it not retracted? Secondly, Speaker,
Mayor?
I know he must raise up his hand.
I've recognized him.
See also.
I've recognized
the conduct. No, he must raise up his hand. And also the MM must speak.
Continue, Councillor.
You see. Now, Speaker, we must speak about this item. We must talk about this item. Because this item came here in council. It's councillors that must deliberate about this. It's us who must retract this item if we feel so. I'm going to say, Speaker, there is a splinter group between tourism, because those are members, or they were members of pledged tourism. Now an item comes to council, wants to fund another splinter group. It's pathetic. It's pathetic, a caliber of this item to come in council, because we've heard grapevines that there is a splinter group, and the AGM was on social media where the people were unhappy. Members of the pledged tourism were unhappy about the financial issues. We discussed them when we said we need financials of pledged tourism. What are they doing about the taxpayers' money? Where are the financials? There are no financials. We needed a report. Now there is this item coming. We must again extend giving the money to end June or 23rd June. Next year. So that means, and we know that the executive mayor is part of that splinter group.
It's his faction.
We know that, and we wonder, is he fit to be in that office if he is going to have favors? Because there are two splinter groups. Now that means he is favoring the other. And I don't know whether we do vet people who are going to lead pledged tourism. Is there vetting that is happening? Because we'll end up accepting people that are not supposed to lead pledged tourism. And as council, we must be neutral. We can't be favoring another part or splinter group. So that is what I wanted to put to this council, Speaker. Thank you very much.
Let me just quickly then go to Councillor Mangaba. Councillor Mangaba.
Thank you, Speaker. You know, there's nothing more exasperating than us exerting our efforts in ensuring that we serve the best way possible in this council. However, whatever point we get to make is actually overlooked and decisions are actually made. We said at this council, I looked crazy this other day because I was banging desks, talking about just how much of a mediocre service we are actually getting from the said group. And we were promised reports, and we made it clear of how this group is actually not serving the entire Bitou, but a minority of a minority. yet we still applaud them. We applaud mediocrity. We are actually extending a contract to next year, June. I would urge you, Speaker, to actually, or through you, I would urge the mayor that this open door policy of a certain minority in this town is not serving us any good.
English.
It is not serving us any good. I went through their reports time and time and again when we sit at council, and I highlight exactly what's not being done right. I mentioned this one time, a memorandum of understanding, which was never brought to this council so that we are able to compare apples and apples, like Councillor Noxie would say. We are able to compare what they're paid for against what they are doing with the money we're giving them. Yet we're still showering them with some more. No sense of accountability whatsoever. In this town now, I am painted to be somebody who's deployed by the ANC to work against Petty Butterworth and her cabal because of just wanting to hold them accountable.
Your cabal, the English. Their cabal is English.
I understand that it so happened that the meeting was actually held today. And unfortunately, by the time it was held, we already had this agenda. I would still urge that we just hold this item. We don't give them up until next year, June. We have in October to actually come to get to the point of this. That monopoly, white minority of the minority must come to an end. We best make a decision that actually works for this municipality and for the greater Bitou.
Yeah. Okay. MM, can you respond to the
No, Speaker, I think Councillor Mangaba has covered me appropriately. Because in my opening statement, the agenda came out last week, Tanya, okay? That's what I want to be consequential when I explain. Last week, Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, or Friday. In my opening statement here, I stated that we were called in a meeting today at 12 o'clock, and I thank you, that Councillor, that you've actually recognized that. So that we bring clarity into why this item was here if there was a meeting. The meeting was only at 12. I read from that meeting to tell them you can continue because we have to be excused to hear. Then I said, and I make decision in terms of information. I don't make decision in terms of social media or what I hear. We spoke about the item, we spoke, you know, the exchange of emails between Paul and the gentleman, but I don't make decision as an accounting officer on social media or other things which the councillor mentioned. I make decision that there was a meeting today at 12. These are the two parties, what they are raising. There we were invited. We didn't go in that meeting with any mandate. We went there. In the current SLA, by the way, Rudolph, it does provide for two representatives of the municipality, and I have not seen this council electing the executive mayor to be one of those representatives there. So I don't know if the I'm not arguing that. I'm saying that the executive mayor on record does not serve in that board because he's not being nominated by his council. So I put that information in front of council. It's for council to determine now whether this item should be proceed to be deliberated and make a conclusion on. I have to put that information which became apparent to me, not on social media. I don't go on social media and rumors. I don't work on rumors. I work with informed information. So that is what I presented in terms of council, that there was this meeting with both groupings, and I would appeal that council invite them, because I don't want to speak on their behalf. We had a long meeting in terms of a discussion with them. So I thank you very much on that matter. I just wanted to emphasize that.
There was a part that I need to get clarity on. I think you mentioned that you proposed that we move this item. Okay, I just want to make sure. Then it was the executive mayor?
Thank you, Speaker. I think we've got some mystery writers across the room because we've got subterfuge left, right, and centre as intergroups. But the facts are that there are two bodies that claim they're representing tourism in town. Both of them were at this meeting together with other businessmen. And as the MM said, the meeting was only held today at 12 o'clock. And that's why this item was still part of the agenda. And I will second Councillor's position on the item.
This item be withdrawn and proposed by Councillor Mangaba, seconded by the Executive Mayor. I just need to make sure, Councillor Nel.
Speaker, I wanted to propose that we refer the item back and put back in October. But if you are saying that Councillor Mangaba proposed it already, then I will accept it and done. But while I have the opportunity, I just want to request that when people like my councillor friend across the road here that uses eloquence to impress, just stop prevaricating in eloquent tones as well. Keep to...
Point of order, Speaker. There's no one I'm impressing here. I am doing my job. I'm not impressing anyone. Just call the guy into order.
Item is closed. The item is closed, Councillor. The item is closed. No, the item is closed. We'll move. The item is closed, Councillor. The item is closed.
What is it? Are we withdrawing it?
They are withdrawing it.
You're voting, Carl.
Terms of rules.
There was a proposal that this item be withdrawn. But seconded. I'm not suppressing you, sir.
You are?
We will move to the order. There's no point on this one, Councillor. No. The order of business, we will continue. Councillor, I did not recognize you. No. Wait. Whatever you are. I'm listening.
On what rule? On what rule?
I come.
I just want
It's a order on what rule?
rescinding this item.
It's a rule.
And what is the process of rescinding item? Because this item is in a council meeting now. You can't just withdraw an item and say, well, withdrawing item.
Yes, I true.
No, Chair, make it easy. Ask Councillor Mangaba to repeat his proposal and then you ask the seconder to, because
No, I got the second house, but I'm asking if an item is here, can that item just be rescinded?
Speaker, I was still on the floor. Thanks, Councillor Mhlanga. That's why I'm saying rather ask, because I didn't want to speak on his behalf. The item is referred back. The councillor, that's what he said. So there was no rescinding. The item is asking the councillor that it must be referred back.
Ron. No, I said. No.
Yes,
Hold on. Referred back. Okay, I will allow you continue. Thank you very much, councillors. Point 11.
Can you give the administration to give clarity?
We will continue, councillor. Urgent matter submitted by the municipal manager.
Withdrawn. I tell you. Is it withdrawn?
Yeah. There's a reference, Tanya. No, not withdrawn. No, let.
The item is withdrawn.
No, we said.
It's the same thing because the item will come back. The item will come back.
Councillor said referred back.
Yes. Put from this meet, and then you will come back.
That's exactly what we're asking, withdrawing.
Tanya knows why he's End of the day, the item will come back.
But it's actually.
Let it not be said.
Thank you.
It should be asked to determine the item. What are we?
Councillors.
Speaker.
Can we?
Do you know what is?
Can we?
Speaker. Do you know what is?
Google. Alam no Google. Apologies. The item is referred back. Can we just correct it that it's been stated referred back?
Tell him. Tell him.
Thanks, Ms. Wilderman.
Tell him.
En ons is allemaal gedraag soos groot mense asseblief. Point 11. Urgent matter submitted by the municipal manager. None. Consideration of notices of motion. Received none. Consideration of notice of questions. Received none. Consideration of motions of exigency. Received none. We have done the in committee. Point 16. Can all councillors present please record?
Councillor, that's not present.
Councillor present.
Councillor Nell present.
Councillor Kankan present.
Councillor Ndai present.
Councillor Boyd present.
Councillor Akanoksikolwapi present.
President.
Sorry. Are you on the president note?
Come again?
You say on the president. Did you say president?
Yes, President Noksikolwapi is present.
President of IPM.
Martin.
Councillor Samkele, Alonso, Lam, Mangala.
Thank you.
Councillor Kapai present.
Councillor
Chief Whip Official Chief Whip of PDC is present. Closer.
Okay, President.
Councillors, that then said, thank you very much for today's special council meeting. We are closing now. Meeting is closed. Let's go.